Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit from MountainAd9065 and says, Am I the arsehole here for breaking up with my fiance? And he ends up getting cut out of his grandma's will. A little backstory is that my fiance and I have known each other since we were in elementary school and grew up with each other. We both come from religious families. This is important for later. When we graduated high school, I chose to go to college and he went to the military. At that point, we were dating for 2 years, and then we got engaged when I was 21 and he 22. So a year ago, we were doing long distances because he was stationed in a different state. The plan was that I was going to graduate college and then go down there and find a job where he is stationed. A couple of months ago, I got a call from a friend who lives down there, and he told me that my fiance is dating another girl and has been for months now. He sent me pictures and her social media. My fiance was coming home for a couple of weeks for my graduation. I thought it would be a good time to talk this out rather than over the phone. When he came back, I sat him down and asked. He did not deny it and said he likes her but loves me. I'm heartbroken. We've been together for years now, and he did this. I called off the engagement and broke up with him. Now, here is where the religion comes in. I was raised where I didn't have sex before marriage, and he was the same. I know some people think this is weird. It is just how I was raised. We had this talk when we got together about not having sex before marriage, and we both agreed to wait. Well, he decided when he was down there, he would get his girlfriend to take care of his needs. After we broke up, I talked to my parents about it and the change of plans. Then I called his family and talked to them. It is not unusual for me to talk to his family because I help his sister, 16 female, if she has a problem or just needs a girl to talk to that is not her parents or a friend of hers. So I called and they invited me to dinner. I went and told them what happened because he did not. He just said we're having a fight. The grandma was there and she was pissed. I used to go over every week to play mahjong with her because I love to play, and no one else in her family likes to. She kept begging me to take back her grandson and that she would force him to make up with me. I didn't put too much thought into it because she was mad. A couple of days later, he was blowing up my phone with calls and messages. His grandma is cutting him out of the will unless he gets back together with me and we get married. I told him no because he hurt me, and nothing he can say will make me take him back. No, I will not be doing that. His family is really well off and has a very successful business, so when his grandma dies, he's supposed to take over. But if he is cut out, he cannot, and he will get nothing. He even tried to pay me to marry him. I was talking to some of my friends and they think I'm an arsehole and should forgive him and get married to him just so he'll be back in the will. Because I am just mad now and this will ruin his life. And think about him and his future. So many of my friends are saying this. I'm starting to think about it. What do you think? Am I the arsehole here? Now first off, I'll be side-eyeing those friends that are telling you to do that. This is a simple case of fuck around and find out, in my opinion. What kind of logic is that from your friends that you should just forgive him and move on that he cheated? Would they do the same? They're saying that you're just mad and you're going to ruin his life, but what about your life? You're meant to marry this person who's cheated on you, and what's that going to do to your life? There is just no consideration for what you're going through in this, which is really disturbing. But Healthy Currency says marrying him will ruin your life. You compromise on your values just for him to do it again, and probably again. So, not the arsehole. You can never trust him again. Updog says, not the arsehole at all. Girl, you need better friends. Reddit is proud of you for having a backbone. If your ex is so desperate to get back in the will, he needs to make amends to his family and leave you alone. I strongly recommend that you find yourself a job somewhere away from your hometown and your crappy friends. You're just starting your adult life. Seize the day and kick ass. Blanket statement says not the arsehole. If you had asked his grandmother to cut him out, that would have made you the arsehole, but you didn't. She cut him out because she was upset at him for doing this. And also, the line of thinking may not be, I want to punish him for doing this, as much as her not wanting to entrust the family business to someone who does not have good morals or self-control. Mary says not the arsehole. He made his bed and now he gets to lie in it. His grandmother made her own choices too. None of this is on you. You were honest to people you considered family. He knew what he was doing and he knew how his family would feel about it. He lied by omission to them. Truly wash your hands of this, because marrying him now would just seem like marrying him for his money, which is grimy in its own right. So Opie comes back into the post with an update and says, so first I talked to his grandma. I told her I would not be marrying her grandson. I did not feel comfortable with that being a requirement for him to get back in the will. I also told her I would be available to play Mahjong with her because I enjoy playing with her, and I will not be coming over when he is there. She was good with that arrangement. When we were talking, she told me that just because he cheated, that was not the only reason he got cut out of the will. She said she was sorry for telling him that. But even if he did end up marrying me, he would still not be in the will. Instead, I would. She was telling me that this was the last straw, so that is why he got cut out. He did a lot of other stuff before, just I didn't know about it. But her and the rest of the family did. I was talking about it and I asked why. Why did I not know this when I was with him? Apparently they thought I knew. She did tell me that there was a way for him to get back in the will without him marrying me. But it will take a long time, and even then it will not be the same. We finished up our talk and then scheduled some time to play. I know some people will say I should cut ties with the family, but I have known them so long that I consider them my family. I actually enjoy playing with a grandma and being there for his sister. Next, what happened was I talked to my so-called friends. I have some friends who supported me from the beginning, but the ones that called me the arsehole, I asked them why they said all that stuff. But one of them thought that if I married him, it would help her pay off her college loans. Then a couple of others, apparently my ex, talked to them. Apparently they were promised a spot in the company or their boyfriends when he took over. And if I didn't marry him, that was not going to happen. So it boiled down to greed. I told them they were not true friends of mine, and they were just using me for their own gain. They did not care about me and my feelings, and I never want to talk to them again. If they wanted me to marry him so bad, they should just marry him themselves. At this point, I was just mad, and I ended up yelling at them. I left and blocked all their numbers and blocked them on all social media platforms I have. Thank you everyone who was telling me to drop them as friends. I ended up doing just that. One of the only bright sides to this was I got to see who my real friends were. Now it's time to talk to my ex. He called me asking to meet up for lunch. I decided to go because I figured at least I could get a free meal out of it and get some closure for the relationship. He let me choose the place. I chose a little restaurant that one of my good friends works there, and I know if I need to, they will help me out. Lunch came and he was talking to me about the will and getting married. He was asking if we could get married and have an open relationship, and he wouldn't care if I slept with someone else. I told him no. He did not know I talked to his grandma before and that I knew what had also happened. I laid into him and told him that is not what I believe in, and that he broke my trust and my heart, and that he was not treating me like a human being. I was about to leave without eating my food, but my friend packaged my lunch up, gave it to me and let me leave. When he tried following me to continue talking, even though I was done, my friend ended up blocking his path so he could not. When I left, he kept on calling me. I blocked him. Before I blocked him, I told him to never talk to me again, and I am done with him. I plan to finish my degree and maybe go traveling and leave town for a little bit, and maybe in a few years I will find someone better. I'll also take this time to think about my religion, like how a lot of people were saying to do, and figuring out what my next step is. Thank you everyone for your advice. I don't know if this is how you saw it going or not. A lot has happened in such a short amount of time. We'll update you if anything else happens. I hope not. So everyone and myself, because I was looking through the comments afterwards, like, what was Grandma pissed off about? What was the other things? Opie says people wanted to know. He did some drugs, weed, mushrooms before he went to the military, and he smoked a lot. He was one of the kids who got in trouble in my school for drinking alcohol during lunch. And there was a lot of people saying, just disconnect yourself from that family, but I think I can get Opie still wanting to be in touch with them, because she laid down her boundary saying like she won't go round there if he's round there, but she still wants to be a part of them because she does consider them family. I can totally get that, but how about you? What would you do in that situation? Would you completely separate yourself from it or not? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Our next story does have an update as well from the relationship advice subreddit from pman27, who says, "My girlfriend received flowers from her ex on her birthday and will not get rid of them. Hey all, the last few days have been rough on my relationship, so I was looking for some neutral opinions on the situation. The situation goes as follows. I, 22 male, was on the phone with my girlfriend, 24 female, the evening before her birthday. At around 12:30 AM on the morning of her birthday, she received flowers. Not from me, I was specifically told by her to not get her flowers on her birthday, after which she brought them in. Asked if I was still on the phone, then said she was going to bed. When I asked who they were from, she said she hadn't read the card yet. Later that day, when we were talking, I brought up how this made me feel uncomfortable. She went into how I do not trust her and how that is not okay. When the question of if she kept the flowers came up, she mentioned she did and has them in a vase, and will absolutely not be getting rid of them. What should I do about this?" Edit for clarity. I did not ask her to throw them out. Her reply was in response to me asking if she kept them. The ex did deliver them. Ex and I have had some contact, but I am only told about work-related things. Edit 2. For clarity. To my understanding, the ex dropped them off, but he was not present when she opened the door and saw them. The justification for not knowing who they were from was that the note was signed with the initials of a name he used to be called by his sister's friends, example HF. After bringing it up, she ended the conversation with something to the extent, "I want tomorrow to be about me, so if you can't do that, let's wait to talk until the weekend." Ultimately, I decided to put it on hold and let her birthday pass and then deal with it. I sent her a very lengthy and sweet birthday message, around 5 to 6 lines on iMessage, to which I received a simple thank you. After she replied, I gave her a call offering to grab her something from her favorite breakfast spot, and I was told she didn't want it and that she was going to go back to sleep. After this, I felt like she did not want to interact with me that day, so I did not push any further. Later, she texted me quite upset that I had not made any effort for her that day. Later that night, we had a FaceTime, and I wanted to listen to why she felt the way she did, apologize for the way things turned out, and attempt to explain why I did what I did. Today, I received a lengthy chain of texts saying how she was talking to her sister and she thinks I'm trying to manipulate her, and basically explain how she felt like I tried to blame her for the way things turned out. I don't want this to be the case. I don't want it to feel like I'm blaming her for anything when I try to talk about why I felt the way I did. I've apologized and acknowledged that I misinterpreted her desires. Even aside from the flower thing, what are some ways to talk to people about your feelings without it making it seem like you're blaming them? I also tried to take her out in the evening, but she did not want to do, and rather decided to have a discussion about things, which is why the flowers got brought back up. Edit 3. We're going to have a talk tomorrow. We'll update after. Thank you everyone for the replies. They've been very helpful. Now, there was a comment that explained my thoughts better than I could from Feedback Altruistic 96, who says, "So the ex delivered the flowers personally, because that's the way she's getting flowers delivered at that time. She gets back on the phone and asks you if you're still there, and she says she's going to bed. So the ex stayed the night. Now she's gaslighting you about your concerns when she's doing some sketchy stuff. Pick a good time and surprise her with the question of did he spend the night after dropping the flowers off, because you got off the phone real quick." And a lot of people were going down that path, so Visible Campaign said, "I'm assuming the ex hand delivered them as deliveries don't occur at 12:30 AM. Then she just went to bed. Seems shady. I wonder if he spent the night. Also, why would she specifically tell you not to buy flowers? I don't know, but I do know I don't like it. Proceed with caution." And one more comment from Bill2550 says, "If she got flowers at 12:30 AM, then her ex delivered them. If she is keeping them despite you being uncomfortable with them, it's time to make her your ex. Think about it. She let the ex in at 12:30 with flowers and then told you she was going to bed. The next day she immediately gets defensive with the 'you don't trust me' line, and she will keep the flowers. Yeah, do nothing and we'll see your post in a few weeks about how your girlfriend went back to her ex after spending her birthday with him. It's a lot harder to be walked on when you are standing up." So first update says, "We had our talk and I ended things. I approached the breakup from the perspective of not being compatible with our methods of communication. I wanted to keep it as civil as possible, as we are part of some small circles in terms of career and friends, and so I'd like to maintain a solid perception. At some point she tried to take it in the direction of an argument. However, I just made it very clear that I was not here to argue or work anything out, and that I felt like we would not be able to handle disagreements well in the future. So it was best to call things off. I appreciate all the comments and replies. I felt the way many of you had iterated, manipulated, gaslit, emotionally invalidated, etc., but I tried my best to non-bias the updates with those emotions to try and get as neutral of opinions as possible. Honestly, right now, I just feel relieved, which I think is very telling. OP then gives an additional update which says, I did not include this in the original post because I was so emotionally drained at that point and did not feel like typing it out again. I told other close friends over text. But I think the thing that really sealed it beyond belief was how she responded to my last attempt to try and make things better. On the day she spoke to her sister, I responded to the manipulation text with something to the extent of, I see you and I hear what you are saying. I had no intention of making you feel that way, and I'm sorry that I did. To which she responded that she's sorry that I did too, and that she was going to go nap. Later that day I texted to ask if she was free, and after 3 hours I basically got a no, but I could drop some stuff off. At this point I had been running out while she was not responding and gathering all of her favourite foods and treats, along with writing a card. After I gave it to her I went back and texted things along the lines, if you want the pastries, please take them back. I'm so confused, was this supposed to make anything better? You hardly looked at me. At this point I was pretty much done and replied with something like, I know I'm not perfect, but I'm not going to be told I am not trying when I am. And when I try to do something I can't have it, but only the things I did wrong are acknowledged. At this point she finally made some attempt to be understanding, saying thank you for the gifts and that she didn't say I wasn't trying to make it seem like I only got that response because it seemed like I was finally done. In any case, it is over now, and time to move on. I don't think she physically cheated as many in the comments do, however at this point I do not care. All I hope is that I better know what to look for next time, and find someone that works better for me personally. Thank you to everyone for the advice and for listening to me and my problems. I hope everyone here has a wonderful day. And absolutely best off out of that relationship, in my opinion. She was gaslighting you a lot of the way through it, and nobody deserves that. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have one more story from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. And this story is from tinypen2289. It doesn't have an update as yet, but it's titled Am I the Arsehole for cancelling our anniversary trip because my husband drowned my terrarium. I, 29 female, travelled across the country to visit a company regarding an incredible job offer. I spent 2 days touring the company to decide if it would be the right fit for me after years of self-employment. After meeting with the company, I visited my sister, 32 female, and her family a few towns over. We barely get to see each other because of work and distance, so it was wonderful to spend a few days with her, the family, and her new baby. I was gone for a total of 8 days. When I returned home, I was excited to spend time with my husband, 33 male, and tell him about the trip, my visit with my sister, my impression of the city, etc. We were meant to be celebrating our anniversary, and decided to put off the discussion about whether or not I should accept the job offer until after our anniversary getaway. I'd arranged for us to go on a luxury train ride because he's a big train enthusiast, and we were meant to leave for the trip 3 days after I got home. This is when the problem started. I have a very large, closed bioactive terrarium, which I made with my mother 15 years ago. It's one of my favourite things I have from her before she passed. This terrarium is my pride and joy and has come with me everywhere since we planted it. It was always super healthy and beautiful, and I've only ever had to open it 4 times to do a little maintenance and watering. My husband knows all of this, which is why I didn't understand why he decided to tamper with it in my absence. I didn't notice the night I got home because I was exhausted, but the next morning I went to check on the terrarium to find it in a terrible state. The roots were rotting and the plants dying and molding. He told me that the day I left it, he poured a few cups of water into the vessel and sealed it again. I was so mad and cried that it turned into a huge argument because it's just a plant and all you do is look at it anyway. He called me ungrateful and overdramatic, that I should appreciate that his intention was to help me, and that he didn't ask because he didn't want to bother me on my trip. I ended up cancelling our anniversary plans, partly because I was so upset that I didn't want to go, and partly because I wanted to try and salvage the plants, and that would require time. He hit the roof when I told him, and is now sleeping in a separate room and refusing to speak to me because, according to him, I'm being petty and trying to destroy our marriage. Am I being oversensitive about my plants? My friends are pretty evenly split and have pointed out that he was just trying to be thoughtful, however misguided it was. Now, I know nothing about terrarium, so I'm just going by the information that I've got here, that you had this for 15 years and you've only had to open it 4 times since owning it. And he decided on this time he's going to put a couple of cups of water in it, if it was water, which I found suspicious in itself, that he never contacted you, was worried about it and should get in touch with you anyway. You're a phone call away. But even after all that, let's just come up with a situation that it was a big mistake, whatever. And, that you was so upset and you was cried about it. And instead of, apologizing for his mistake, etc., he told you it's just a plant and all you do is look at it anyway, and called you ungrateful and overdramatic. It says everything that you need to know, really. But let's check out some comments to see what they say. So, Death and Taxes says, not the arsehole, and I doubt your husband was trying to help. Firstly, if you've only opened it a few times and he knows it doesn't get watered that often. Secondly, he knows how much it means to you, so should know you would have taken care of it before you went, or would have left very detailed instructions. Also, how big is it? Would a few cups of water been way too much, even if it was just helpful? The "you just look at it" comment is also so strange. It's what everyone does with their plants. Opie says, I've literally never had to open it or water it in the time we've been together, and even when I did water it in the past, it's never required more than a few tablespoons of water. I've talked about it before, but he clearly forgot. What even is a user replies that saying he didn't forget, he maliciously killed something you love, not the arsehole. Only Ingenuity says, is your taking this job going to necessitate a move that he's unhappy about, or change the balance of who the primary breadwinner is? This seems like a tantrum followed by gaslighting, not the arsehole. Edit. Is feeling jealous and emasculated, though he will never admit that. He sees you advancing further out of his league, and the scared people, or worse you, will start questioning why you are with him. He's also feeding his ego by gaslighting you into believing you need to grovel to be with him. Opie says, I'm already the primary breadwinner, so I don't think that's it. It would mean a lot more income for the family though, which is a good thing for both of us. Yes, it would mean moving, but I wouldn't take the job if he's not comfortable with it. And Lady Taruki says, not the arsehole, it's not just any terrarium. It's a living memory of your mother. He should have known how much it meant to you and to at least send you a message about it before taking such a risk. It's not like you were trekking in the Himalayas. You were perfectly in reach, even as you were busy. And then quotes, all you do is look at it anyway, and then says, I don't know if it made more sense in context, but what a weird, bad weird thing to say. But now, what do you guys make of this situation? What do you think is going on? I'll certainly keep an eye out for an update on that one, because I don't think it's going to end well, but let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.